Guys, you are tuned in once again to the Enlightened Path, and boy, oh boy, do I have a message for you. So, over the past few days, I was just thinking about how much criticism has shaped me into the person that I am today. And I must say, there was a lot of reflection that was happening, and I was like, you know what, wait. Criticism might not be all that bad, and I'm gonna get right into it. So as I was thinking about this over the period of the week, because like I said last week, I was dealing with some stuff, and a dear friend of mine reached out to me saying, this is happening to me, somebody is trying to tarnish me, blah 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 blah. We had a very, very good conversation, and I felt like if it was very fruitful, which primarily is the catalyst for this discussion today, because I feel like people don't really understand the nature of criticism, and sometimes it can be taken personally when it shouldn't. I'll tell you why later on in this video, so continue watching. And as much as I know that this particular thing was serious to her, and it made so much sense, for her to feel the way that she was feeling, it wasn't that serious to me. I felt so much joy. I felt invigorated, because that is the moment I knew that she was being called to shed some skin. And isn't that a beautiful thing? All criticism is not bad. I'm not going to tell you criticism is bad and people are evil. All criticism is not bad, but there's a way to know. There's a way to know when it's genuine and when it is coming from a terrible place. So I remember when I first started my podcast earlier this year, somebody reached out to me, and she said, "Hey, I really enjoyed X, Y, and Z episode. It was so good. I shared it with my friends. I really, really enjoyed it. However, somehow this one last week, it wasn't giving. It wasn't giving, like, blah, 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 blah. That was appreciated. That is actually, from me, how I understand it, that was actually good feedback or whatnot. So for me, that was a good criticism. There are times when there's people in our lives, they never have anything good to say, nothing good. They've never told you you look good. They never tell you you're doing well. They never congratulate you on any achievement. They don't like none of your posts, but they're waiting for something negative to drop about you, to jump in to talk about you, or to jump in to tell you how you're supposed to feel, or to jump in to find out, hey sis, I'm checking up on you. No, don't check up on me. Why weren't you checking up on me all the time? You're that type of thing that we can clearly see that the person has no good interest in us are not good criticism, and those individuals should not be taken seriously. Now, if you have a friend and that friend is always by your side, and now they're saying to you, hey, bro, I think you could work on this, that is good criticism. So sometimes we say, oh, you're a hater, because when someone tell us that we are not perfect, the ego jumps in to save us, right? And we start to feel like we need to become defensive because they're attacking us, when it is not so. So to sum all of that up, good criticism comes with positive feedback as well, where you have heard something positive from the individual before, or before they tell you something negative, they start with something positive, right? Those are people that genuinely care about your feelings and want to see you do well. Now, there's the negative criticism. Like I said, it's jumping in when something is negative, when something is bad, and it's like, yeah, now I'm here to find out the tea, now I'm here to figure out what's what, or I have something negative to say to you right off the bat. What happened to all the times that I was doing positive things? Weren't there opportunities for you to say something to me? So good. So we have to get that out of the way to know when criticism is good and when criticism is bad. Now, I feel it's important for us to understand the nature of the negativity and where it is coming from. Now, what I've got to understand, even from my own experience and from others, is that all negative criticism is deep-rooted in insecurity or jealousy of or some low vibrational thing. Because, and here's how I know. Why else? Why else would you feel the need to project the garbage from inside of you, something that you had to process and think about that is so negative, and you held it inside of you until you meet me? Nothing in your mind told you that, hey, this isn't feeling right, this is not right, I shouldn't say this. No, you felt so much honor and grace in saying that to me, that this negative thing that you'd have conjured up within yourself, to spew it onto me, to project that onto me. I've never forgotten a quote that Windar had spoken about. I don't have the quote correctly, but he had said something like, whenever you're squeezed, and he made the analogy towards an apple. He said, when you squeeze an apple, you could only get apple juice. When you squeeze mango, you could only get mango juice. So when somebody is squeezed or triggered or something is happening with them, whatever comes out of them in those moments are the exact thing that is inside of them. So if you find generally somebody is always negative, they always have a problem, that is just telling you what is inside of them. Because when they're squeezed, when they're pressured, when life hits them, whatever comes out of them is exactly what is inside of them. I can't make this up. I simply cannot make this up. This makes so much sense. And when I saw this quote, as a matter of fact, he was on stage, he was giving a lecture, and I was watching it, and when I saw it, I realized the amount of anger that I would spew onto other people, the way I would just react and just blow up. And I realized, wait, I can't blame them for that. For me, I can't blame them for the way I would react. That is inside of me. Right? And another important thing is to see negative criticism as a mirror. People tell on themselves. They tell on themselves with the negativity that comes out of them. They tell on themselves. They let you know right off the bat what they have going on. Right? When they behave in this manner, they tell. It says more about them than it says about you or the person that they're speaking about. So when people come and start to tell you negative things about somebody else, you have to look at them. One of the things that usually occur, we usually trained, like if somebody says something negative about somebody, we kind of pick that up and we start to have this negative feelings towards that person. I would say, the moment you come to me and you start talking negative about somebody else, I start watching you funny. Because what inside of you is so low vibrational that you feel so comfortable conjuring up something, holding it in your lovely heart to relate back to me about somebody else, something that is so negative. I see that the problem is with them more than the problem is with me, or more than the problem is with somebody else. The negative thing is saying, I have a problem. People who speak negatively about others, all it is saying, they have a problem. And something I've been observing as well. You ever hear pretty women bash people and tell them that they're ugly? Like, yeah, you ugly, or calling everybody ugly. And pretty women don't operate like that. And the girlies at the gym, they're not calling their counterparts fat and out of shape and all these things. They're not doing that. Successful men are not looking at who is poor. You get it? So it's always the ones who have a problem with themselves have a problem with everybody else. I am here to remind you that adversity builds character. I have a story about that. So years ago, it's a long time ago. And it's it's still a deep moment for me, but I'm still thankful. And I'm going to share, it's a vulnerable experience, but I'm going to share it with you. I remember being told by someone very, very close to me, when I say close to me, that I would not amount to anything, right? I was told that I would not amount to anything. And it hurt so badly. When I say it hurt so badly. And here I am. I can tell you, here I am managing 4 successful businesses. The moment I heard those words was the day I had to prove a point. The moment I heard those words was the day I had to prove a point, and I was like, yo, I'm gonna go hard. I'm gonna do what I have to do. I'm gonna study. I'm gonna push myself, and I'm gonna be anything that I want to be. I made a choice that I was going to choose, and I chose to become anything that I feel so called to become. I felt the rage. It was so strong, and it fueled me to conquer. It fueled me to overcome. So I must say thank you to that individual who said that to me, because if they didn't, you would not be seeing me. I'm positive, I'm 100% sure you would not be looking at me on this podcast today. I kid you not. So I just want to say thank you. And also to encourage you that when people say things, it's important, like, yo, that is what you think about me, but not really to prove them. Back then, I didn't fully know myself, and I was like, you are going to prove me wrong. But the point is to prove it to yourself. Prove it to yourself that you are worthy and that you are enough. That is the point that you have to prove, because you're never going to be able to please people. But I'm just letting you know what I did and how I'm so thankful. That is exactly what I needed at that juncture of my life to push me forward. So when we feel down by negative criticism, or when we're spoken of negatively, I want to remind you, I want us, in a sense, because I'm still learning, like I would always say, I'm still growing. Let us remind ourselves how much we have used those experiences that we have had in the past to catapult us to the next level, to nurture, to mold, and to grow us. Let's remember the track record that we have. The track record that we have of using negativity and turn it into something positive. Remember that. Remember as well that these individuals are just doing what they have to do. Sometimes they're just a messenger. Sometimes they're a pawn that is being used to push you in the direction of your highest potential. Accept it. Welcome it. Life is a journey. Some souls just come here to help us on that journey, regardless if it's an ally or they're a villain. They're all co-creators of our journey. They're all helping us to go. All of them, the boss, your partner, the ex-wife, the ex-friend, everybody, they're all helping us on that journey. And when you see that everybody is just there to help and support you when something negative is happening to you or something negative is being spoken of you, you need to sit back and ask yourself, what is this trying to teach me? Yeah? What is this trying to teach me? In addition to that, it's important to look at the context. Contextually analyze who it's coming from and make a conscious decision to determine if this is valuable to you or not. Not every comment that is made about you needs to be taken to heart, needs to be taken personally. As a matter of fact, you already know who you are. And it's time for you to stand in the power of who you are. Whatever people say, if it gets you down and you're feeling sad, ask yourself, what is this trying to teach me? And if you make an analysis and you realize this is not coming from the right source. It's important for you to that your boundaries are being tested. Your alignment with yourself is being tested. Stand in your power, stand in who you are, and forget them. While we're talking about staying in alignment, I want to tell you something about the voices of other people. The voices of other people can affect us, but you should not let it. I have learned something that has really helped me, and it is the power of reframing. You're gonna sound the Lulu, but I don't care. I'm gonna teach you it anyway. When somebody says something negative to me, or they try to project negativity towards me, I alchemize that shit, and I'm like, hey, I just imagine they're saying something positive, like the best things they're saying to me. I don't let it seep in. I just imagine they're saying all the nicest things possible to me, especially if I know it's coming from a place where the person doesn't have my best interest at heart, and the outcome, the ulterior motive of this is just so that I can feel bad. I swing that around, and when I start to think of how all the beautiful things they're saying to me, I start to feel good instead of feeling sad about what they're saying. So I'm telling you to utilize the power of reframing, right? And additionally, there are other times when there's just an underlying message there. And sometimes, like I mentioned earlier, that message is just being delivered to you. Apart from negative comments, I want to just, like, something is coming for me to talk about when negative things happen in general, because negative comments isn't a positive thing. But when negative things happen in general, sometimes it's a call to action. It's a call to action for us to detach from the external things that we seek validation in, and to go inside, to come together with ourselves, and for us to remember the divinity that we have within us, and use a negative experience to snap you back into perspective, snap you back into a place where you can ground yourself, snap you back in a place where you could now return to the true nature of who you are. Because sometimes it's only in those critical moments that we learn to love ourselves a little more, where we learn to appreciate ourselves. Sometimes when we're down, we're going to get pampering and all these type of things, because that is what the soul was craving, and this experience was just an experience that was handed to you so that you can return to you. I'm inviting you to reflect on your own experiences, the experiences that you have had with people and negative comments. And I'm encouraging you to remember who you are. You have forgotten. If the negative comments about that people are making about you is still getting to you, you need to remember who you are and remember who they are. And sometimes we have to show compassion to those individuals, because deep down inside they are hurting, they're lost, they have their own issue, they have their own trauma, they have their own pain that they are dealing with. And how can you look at somebody like that and try to fight fire with fire? The most you can do in those situations is be compassionate towards them, empathize with them while standing in your power, and remember that you are the powerhouse. Because look at what they're doing, look at where you are. You are not matching energy, you have not done anything to them, but yet here they are coming to your throat, right? You remember who you are. Remember, look at your life. I keep telling you to reflect. Look at your life. Look at the experiences that you've had. Those experiences have not broken you. Here you are today. Here you are today, stronger and braver. It did nothing to you. You've already gone through the fire. What else can they say about you? What else can they do to you? They can't do anything. If they know you and what you have gone through, they would know that you are unbreakable. But you have to know for yourself that you've been shaped into the person that you are today, because you will face any adversity with strength and determination to push forward. And nothing anybody has ever said about you will ever shape you or your destiny. You have to know that for yourself. When negative things come to you, use it to your advantage and come out on the mountaintop. Prove them wrong, always. I'm Hadassah. I'm a life coach and I'm a hypnotherapist, and I help people just like you to discover who they are. I also help people to reclaim their own personal self-image and to help them to live their best life yet. I love you tons. See you again next week on another episode on the Enlightened Path.